All right, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Reasonably Prepared. I am Joshua, and I got my first piece of subscriber feedback. A subscriber says this: gotta be honest, I'm fairly sure preparedness refers to being prepared for survival situations, particularly in the event of a disaster or political upheaval. However, I had to guess. It's not a term with which I'm familiar, nor I think is it a term that's entered into common usage enough for random people stumbling across this video to know what you're talking about. It'd be extremely helpful for both your audience and your brand if you made it clear what preparedness actually is. And so that's what I'd like to go over today. What is preparedness? What do I mean when I use the term preparedness or prepper or prepared? Here we go. Webster's Dictionary describes it as the state of being ready for something to happen, especially war or disaster. Okay, so that's kind of the newer Merriam-Webster dictionary. But other definitions will say preparedness is an important quality in achieving goals and in avoiding and mitigating negative outcomes. So it actually is a broader picture than just survival situation or end of days war, nuclear war, political, complete, total unrest scenario. Although those are viable reasons to prep. I think one of the concerns, in fact, I know one of the concerns that a lot of people come to me with is they get easily overwhelmed at the prospect of realizing they need to prepare in their life for certain scenarios, for certain situations, or for certain things. And these could be as small as making sure I've got a spare tire in my car. In the event that I blow a tire, I know how to change it and I'm able to. That is preparing for an event. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to be doomsday scenarios. And it is my intention to bring super clear, super practical preparedness tips for all of us beginning the journey into the intermediate. And if you want to go further down the road, that's great. So here's something that's super interesting. Hurricane Katrina was an incredible exposure or litmus test for what it could mean to be prepared. And FEMA has something to say about it. And what they said is, in the United States, before Hurricane Katrina, preparedness was largely viewed as the responsibility of first responders and other emergency services. So in other words, pre-Katrina, and I know that there have been sects of people and, like say Y2K and things of that nature who are considered preppers. We are preppers. But pre-Katrina, it was widely regarded that your police, your military, your fire, your emergency personnel, those are the people that you call on when something happens, okay? And they're the ones who were prepared in the event. So I'm going to read on now. It became evident that first responders can and will be overwhelmed in large-scale disaster, unable to effectively respond to emergencies, okay? So it became apparently clear to lots of people, including the government, that in catastrophic events, in disasters, yes, that first responders can and will be easily overwhelmed in the event of a disaster. So a disaster is one thing that we prepare for, okay? Not just disasters, but real life disasters that have happened and things that happen around the world and here in the United States and other countries are fire happens. Your house could burn down. Tornadoes happen. Storms happen. Floods happen. Political unrest is happening right now. What with COVID, pandemic, things of that nature. So then it was determined, and FEMA actually released statements that by working together, everyone can keep the nation safe from harm and resilient when struck by hazards such as natural disasters, acts of terrorism, and pandemics. Once again, this is the ultimate doomsday side of things. And I'm also letting us know that we can be prepared for smaller events, more local events. Not even just events, you lose your job. You lose your job, and if you've got provisions stored or in place and a system in place, you can weather that storm easier. I'm going to go back to if your battery dies in your vehicle, if electricity goes out for any length of time, if you blow a tire, I've run out of water during a drought in California when we used to live there. We've actually run out of water. And of course, these aren't doomsday scenarios, they're more local scenarios. So I contend That is every individual's personal responsibility to use their imagination and wisdom and prudence to prepare for events that might happen so that you're not a draw of resources on a broken system, and that you can better help and serve other people in chaos. Okay, so who should be considering being prepared in any type of event using their imagination, researching history, and knowing what might happen? Who should be doing this? Okay, we're talking individuals, families, businesses, faith-based and community groups, profitable groups, schools and academia, media outlets, and all other levels of government should all be taking individual personal responsibility to make sure that we are prepared for any eventuality, for anything that could happen in our own personal lives and in our community and in the greater community, which will be our country at large. It's super practical. I think it's super wise and super important. And it's not the same thing as paranoia. Okay, so we're not to be in our minds and our imaginations thinking of doomsday things so that and allowing those things to rule us with fear. We do know that we live on a system of groceries, a system of water supply, system of electrical supply that is dependent on other people. And when those things break down, it is incumbent, the responsibility falls on us, each individual, to make sure that we can sustain and we're not utterly dependent on the system, but that we are, yes, enjoying and taking advantage of the system and being prepared for if the system has a disruption or breaks down or just changes some rapidly. So whose responsibility is it to prepare and be prepared? It's ours. And actually researching this, I found some really interesting quotes. Confucius says, "In all things, success depends on previous preparation, and without it, there is sure to be failure." So there's an unknown author I found. It says, by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. And Ben Carson, the great Ben Carson, has a more positive spin on this. And he says, "I knew great things were going to happen in my life, and I had to do my part by preparing myself and being ready." So we're not just talking about bad things. It's important to prep for your meals. We prep for long trips, right? We pack everything up together for long trips. It is important to make sure that we're thinking ahead, preparing for those things. We prepare for tests in school. We prepare for job interviews. So it's not only about this far-off doomsday paranoid version of preparing for something. It's using history, using our logical and rational and reasonable minds, and using real life and our imagination to put into practice being ready for things. And I contend that I used my preparedness for serving my family and serving my community and serving my greater country and greater community at large. Because I say that prepared is not equal to paranoid. They're not the same thing. It's wisdom and it's prudence to prepare for things. Okay? And so that's what we talk about when we talk about preparedness. It's the forethought to put into good practice and have things ready in the event of some other thing happening, a scenario. Could be good, could be bad, could be just regular life. Once again, I mean, is popping a tire on a highway bad? Sure, but it's also just a regular part of owning a vehicle. And so I would say, have a good time. Enjoy the journey. Start researching how you can be prepared in your home and in your family for things. And it is my intention to give you as freely and openly as I can, as I am on my own preparedness journey, all that I've learned, and open up discussion in a community for other people so that we can serve our communities better, serve our families better, and love one another better. Once again, I'm Joshua, Reason to Be Prepared. I hope that this helped. If it did, leave it in the comment below. Let me know what your definition of preparedness is, and if this has helped you at all. Go ahead and smash down that like button if this was helpful. Remember to subscribe and hit the little bell notification so you can get notifications when the videos happen. But I'm going to just keep pumping out information to you as you give me ideas, and as I have them myself, and I know that I've lived through them or could live through them and give them as information to you while I'm also on my journey, because I don't know everything, but what I do know, I want to share and give to you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.